Yeah, I think as soon as he gets baptized by John the Baptist, up until he's dead, he's under constant scrutiny by the religious establishment. Lots of pressure, and even, the people he's preaching to are misunderstanding him, and
right.
He's constantly, it's just a whirlwind of a life.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Epic Everyday, our weekday podcast for busy, stressed out Christians who don't want to just get through the week.
What was that?
Get through the week.
That's right. We want to be thriving through the week.
That's how I feel when I say get through the week. I just want to go to bed, curl up in a ball.
There's no way to live. It's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
But God is our strength.
Yeah.
And we use the CSCs to be connected to that.
I'm Liz Frericks, and this is my husband, Evan.
Good morning.
And since it's Wednesday, we are going to talk about being centered.
Which is centered on our relationship with... No, wait a minute. Which is moving out of the essence of who God made us to be.
Yes.
Of who we are.
Yeah.
Because that's intentional. God didn't just... I'm thinking now of the bingo wheel where they put all the bingo balls in that basket thing and spin it, and then they draw one out and they're like B12 or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's not like that. It's not random.
He's like, I'm going to put this DNA in. Oh, let's
see what kind of person comes out. It's a code, and I believe it's authored by God himself.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to think about. I was actually just listening to a podcast this morning about accentuating your strengths, because that's where you can succeed, because that's what God's designed you to do.
If you're good at math or science or literature, do that stuff. That's probably a pretty good indicator that God wants you to do something in that field. What?
It's just interesting to think about, because I'm good at all of those, but I don't... What?
So you're not going to be a mathematician?
Disagree?
No.
I would not. I mean, I would do math for fun. If I had a job in math, I'd probably be okay.
It's not always this world-famous, glorious thing.
I use math every single day to do cooking, so there.
That's right. And we use math to balance our checkbook and honor God with our money. Everybody can do that. Anyway. We're going to be looking at some more of Jesus in the garden this week, and somewhere else. Where?
When Jesus is at before the high priest.
So anyways, from these two times in Jesus' life where he is because sometimes it seems like he's dodging around the are you God, are you not? And he answers questions, but it's according to whoever's asking. He's very deliberate in the way he answers. Mm-hmm. But we're going to look at some times where Jesus is saying and being centered in this last...
He knows who he is.
Oh, yeah.
Which is such a huge part of being centered, is to really be yep. I think you see this right from the get-go with Jesus. When you look in Luke 2, verse 41 through 52, is when Mary and Joseph take Jesus to Jerusalem for the Passover.
And he's a child here. He's 8 or 12 or something.
12. And they, start heading back, and they think that there was somebody else, his cousins or whoever. After a day, they realize he's not there, so they go back to Jerusalem, look for him for 3 days. They finally found him.
My goodness.
Yeah, I would be so stressed out, man. I can't imagine losing our kid for that long. Oh, it would be bad. So, they're frantically looking for him, and Mary says to him, "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." "Why were you searching for me?" Jesus asked. "Did you not know I had to be in my Father's house?" And you see him having this understanding of this is who he is, even from an early age.
Mm-hmm. So I'll go ahead and read the part in the garden, which is just this amazing. I mean, he's getting arrested here. He's getting mobbed. This just it seems like it would be just like in the movies where the villagers all come out with torches and pitchforks and stuff, and they're trying to go kill the monster. They're coming after Jesus.
Kill the beast.
Yeah. And so this is John 18. I'll just start in chapter 1 here, or in verse 1. After Jesus had said all of this, so this is, his teaching at the Last Supper, he went with his disciples across the Kidron Valley to a place where there was a garden, which he and his disciples entered. Now Judas, who betrayed him, also knew of the place, because Jesus often met there with his disciples. So Judas took a detachment of soldiers and some officers from the high priests and the Pharisees and went there with lanterns, torches, and weapons. See? I was right.
Totally. It's exactly like in Beauty and the Beast.
Then Jesus, knowing everything that was going to happen, went forward and asked them, "Who are you looking for?" They answered him, "Jesus from Nazareth." And Jesus told them, "I am." And in my Bible here, it's in all caps because it's a quote from the Old Testament. Judas, the man who betrayed him, was standing with them. When Jesus told them, "I am," they backed away and fell to the ground.
I love that part. Like, it's just like the force of his personality, his godness just floors them. He's still he's still allowing them to arrest him, which is just incredible to me, because clearly he did not have to allow them to arrest him.
I think it's him. I think it's God saying, "I'm doing this because I want to, not because you're making me." So continuing on here. And so Jesus asked them again, this is verse 7, "Who are you looking for?" And they said, "Jesus from Nazareth." Jesus replied, "I told you that I am the one. So if you are looking for me, let these men go." This was to fulfill what he said, "I did not lose a single of those you gave me." Oh, well, I like this part too. Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Jesus told Peter, "Put your sword into its sheath. Shouldn't I drink the cup that the Father has given me?"
It just cracks me up because he says, "Put your sword away," when, if you look, I can't remember which gospel it's in, but Jesus is the one that says, "Get your swords."
Oh, sure.
And yet
and
he's
some
like,
of his
"But don't
teaching,
use them."
Well, yeah. Don't use them now. Don't foil with the plan.
Right. I don't know. It's just interesting.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I mean, and that's the great thing about Peter. I mean, he's so ambitious.
Yes.
And he makes so many mistakes, and we can learn from that.
Yes.
He's willing to be corrected, and he's willing to jump out there and try stuff.
Going back to the fact that they were falling down, it was making me think about this passage that's in Luke 4, where Jesus is in Nazareth. He preaches and talks about how only a prophet is not accepted in his hometown, or prophets are not accepted only in their hometown. And all the people in the synagogue were furious when they heard this. They got up, drove him out of the town, and took him to the brow of a hill on which the town was built in order to throw him down the cliff. But he walked right through the crowd and went on his way.
Well, and wasn't that after he read the Isaiah passage and said today? So he reads this passage about the Messiah, and then he closes the book and said, "Today, this is fulfilled in your midst." And then they want to kill him. But again, he's being centered. He's like establishing who he is. I'm here to fulfill this prophecy, and everybody is not having it.
And he still chooses, like, okay, this is not the right time, so they aren't allowed to hurt him in any way. He just walks back through the crowd. The passage you were reading in John, he allows himself to be arrested, even though the people fall down when he says, "It's me," and then he's still like, "It's me," you know?
That's right.
We were also talking about in Matthew 26 with the high priest. The high priest said to Jesus, "I charge you under oath by the living God, tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God." "Yes, it is as you say," Jesus replied. "But I say to all of you, in the future you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." I love that passage.
Yeah, I love that hope.
Yeah, and I think, it really goes to show, I think if we were centered in that, if we really understood who we are, how amazing it is that we're God's children, how amazing it is that we have a hope and a future, and we would live so differently.
Yeah, I think we could proclaim that truth and accept the abuse that it would also bring. I mean, if we're going to emulate our Savior, and it would be just fine, but I can't imagine. I mean, that's something to strive for.
Right, and I think it's hard to hang on to that stuff, which is why, especially during times of stress, which is why it's so amazing that Jesus, he's under massive stress here. He's not just like a little bit stressed. In all three of those passages, Nazareth is his hometown and the people that he grew up with are rejecting him. And they want to kill him. Like, it's not just a like, oh yeah, you're not really my favorite person anymore. It's like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, I think as soon as he like gets baptized by John the Baptist, up until he's dead, he's under constant scrutiny by the religious establishment. Lots of pressure, and even, the people he's preaching to are misunderstanding him, and he's constantly like, it's just a whirlwind of a life.
Right, but the fact that he's able to hang on to who he is gives him that platform to be able to, move from.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we want to do too.
Totally. All right, we love you guys, and we're praying for you. As always, pick whether today is going to be awesome. Yeah, you're God's child. He has a good plan for you, a hope and a future.
Yeah, and when if you do decide that today's going to be awesome, the path to that is the CSCs.
Totally.
It's not just willpower.
Yes. But it is a perspective shift.
That's right.
I mean, I know sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I'm just like, I don't think I can do today. This feels awful. And it's amazing when I start out with that attitude. Like, the day just is hard. Yeah. But if I start out with like, today is going to be great, then I'm looking for the things that are good rather than looking for the things that are stressful and bad.
Yeah. And it's great because of our centeredness on God, because of who he made us to be on purpose, to be in this time right now, in this country, doing good things, the good works that God's laid out before us.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody that's been sharing the show and listening to the show. We really appreciate it. If you have found this podcast helpful, please do continue to share it. And come back tomorrow and we will talk about how Jesus was connected to God even when things were really hard.
Really hard. This is Jesus on the cross tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Have an awesome Wednesday, you guys.
See ya.